Look at me. I haven't looked like this for almost 20 years, but it's crunch time.
Hi, I'm Ramsin Khachi. I'm the founder and principal of Khachi Design Build and Stone Lab Surfaces. I've been in the design and construction industry for over 25 years. I've decided to do an entire series around my own personal real estate investment. I'll be taking a builder's custom-like home and then taking it to an entirely new level.
Welcome to Bespoke in the Burbs. So today, Downsview is setting up to wrap up the cabinetry install. There's still more work to be done with that because what we want to do is make sure those appliances get installed. We've got countertops coming, all that has to happen. None of it can happen until Downsview finishes their part. The master vanity is also going in, and there's a lot of finicky detail with that. I'm going to be working with the guys on there to make sure that all comes together as well. Got a hot water tank going in downstairs. I want to make sure that's done right because I want to finish the floor in the furnace room. I want to make sure that that's all done right so that that flooring comes together perfectly. I'll show you that as well. And that's it, just little details here and there to make sure everything comes together in the end. Yeah, he's got a bit for it. And there is a flush bit in there anyways. Okay, awesome, thank you. I'll see you in a minute, bye. Hey, Danny. He's bringing it. Okay, if that one works, you can return that one. Save your money. Okay? When things start to go wrong and everybody gets nervous, then when you have a bad attitude about the job, everything's gonna go wrong. You gotta stop and just go, okay, we gotta fix it, that's it, right? And then slow down and just get it done right. Like this guy. He's relaxed, sitting in his car, taking it easy, while you and I are getting stressed out, right? That's why he looks so young. He's probably like 40 years old. He looks like he's 20. Let me tell you what happened. So, these light channels, these are actually the panels that go around the wine display. So, the little router channel in there is where you stick the LED flexi light in. But there was an issue in production. One of the channels is wider than the other one, so the light's not going to fit in properly. Instead of sending all these back to Downsview, getting them to remake them, which is going to take like 6 weeks, and we decided, you know what, we'll just change it to this aluminum channel, which looks nice, has a lens on it, it's wider, so now what we have to do is router these ourselves on site. Danny's going to router them. And then we're going to throw those channels in and solve the problem. But if you start off with your nerves on edge, then everything's going to go wrong. So I'm telling them, take it easy, calm down, everything's going to go well. And we're going to router them out, get them done, get them in place, and finish this kitchen up, because that's what's holding us up right now. Thoughts? I'm sorry, am I swearing a lot? Thoughts? I wish I had more time. I wish I had more time. I wish I had more time. I wish there were more hours in the day. And I wish I could clone myself into 2 or 3 different people. But I can't. And at some point, somebody in the mix here who's crying for my time is going to get upset and complain that I'm not helping them or not giving them the answers they need. So here's what we're using for door stops instead of the traditional ones that mount onto the baseboard on the back of the door. They're called phantom door stops. You don't see them. That's because there's 2 parts. One is inside the door on the bottom and one is in the floor. So the pin, which is this thing here, goes into the floor and sits flush on the hardwood. There is a pin that moves up and down. The reason for that is that underneath the door, we've mortised in a magnet. So the magnet sits in underneath. There's a finishing plate with a flat spot on it. So as the door comes over top of that pin, pulls the pin out of the ground, and it locks into that and makes it stop. So it opens one way but will not go any further, so it prevents the door from hitting the wall. Now, we've mortised the pieces in underneath the door. I had Clive center them, pre-drill them, put the magnet in, put the finishing plate in. Now it's time to line them up and drill them into the floor. But before we hung the doors, I had him put a little piece of tape and mark the center of that hole so that I know where it lines up on the floor. I'm going 3 inches off the baseboard. That's a good distance to clear the hardware. And then what we're gonna do is drill a hole into the floor to accommodate the pin, and then we'll see how it works. So our hole's drilled in the floor, get a little bit of glue on the pin, and let's get that a little bit cleaned off so it doesn't get everywhere. Set that into the hole. Okay, so that's set in, we'll let that dry, but in the meantime, let me show you how well these things work. So as we slide past, there we go, ready to go. You push the door, pin comes up, and the door will not go any further, and it releases easily. That's a beautiful door stop. I've got so many things on my plate. I've got all the finishing details, the speakers, the audio system. I got to finish the home theater. All the little details that make a house a custom home are the things where I got to finish all those little knickknacks and details. So I'll walk you through those as we're going through. But right now, these materials here, the countertops, this one is the natural stone that's going into that small ensuite on that oak vanity with the beaded drawer fronts. It's going to look spectacular when it's done. I can't wait to see that in place. This is the material that's going in the kitchen. That's the sintered stone. I love this coloration, and look at this cutout. This is a receptacle cutout. So Stone Lab Surfaces is doing the installation in the kitchen. This cutout is pristine, and I love seeing detail like that. This top edge is as sharp as a knife. This is the waterfall that drops down. They'll miter that together, they'll epoxy it, then they'll cut that edge. It'll just waterfall beautifully. Let's go inside and see how they're making out. So there is stuff everywhere. You can see back there boxes over there. I don't recommend this for anybody. Do not move in until your house is completely done. Well, I had no choice. But all the finishing details that I've got to take care of are things like this stacked wall system. We started doing those. I showed you that. The stacked wine system has a lot of little details that you have to pay attention to. I've got to trim it out nicely. I've got to tighten some of these elements. So there's more work to be done there. All the under cabinet lighting, the LED lighting that goes around there, those are details that I'm going to take care of. The countertop is in the servery. Underneath here is going to be that growy blue water system that's going to give you carbonated water. I'm going to install that underneath there, and I'm going to show you how that comes together. That is going to be a huge asset to this house, and I'm going to love it. So they're working on the island now. They're getting that in place, doing the seams. And this is one of the things I'm going to point out. If you can accommodate a full slab on your island, do so. That's one of the things I overlooked here, and I am so mad at myself because I always think about that detail, but there's been so much going on. It's been so fast-paced, I overlooked that detail. Now we have two seams, but they have done a fantastic job of seaming these together so that they're almost seamless. They're working on that right now. This is where the waterfall drops down. The receptacle will go in from behind, and it is gonna look spectacular. These guys at Stone Lab know their stuff. It's awesome. I can't wait till it's done. So on this side, we've got a giant hole in the countertop. That was not a mistake. I'll tell you what's going in there is a contraption from Evoline. It's called the port, and it's going to sit in there flush on the surface, and when you need power, you pull this out and the receptacles are exposed. Then when you're done with it, you push it back in, sits flush and looks amazing, and this color picks up on all the details beautifully. This little bathroom is one of my favorite rooms in this house. I don't know what it is. I think maybe it's the combination of this gorgeous vanity, this top, how it's pulling all the colors together in this room, the wallpaper. I think when those pendants go in and that floating mirror goes on that wall and the faucets and fixtures and all those pieces come together, this is gonna be a gem. So the countertops are almost done. They're doing some final details. Couple things I want to point out. This is where the cooktops sit. 2 cooktops, 30 inches wide each. And as we discussed at Wolf Sub-Zero at the showroom down there, I'm going to recess these in. That's why there's a dado here and it's recessed down. So they've cut down the stone. They've left an opening. The cooktop is going to sit in flush. We're going to put a fine bead of detail around, and it's going to be a flush finish. And it's going to be nice, easy to clean. You'll see that countertop carries up on the backsplash. We've got a gap here. That gap is because later we're going to slide in a shelf into that gap. It's going to be the same material, and it's going to slide in and come out about 4 inches. Above that, you'll see those 2 cutouts. I decided to do 1 piece up here. There's a reason for that. I'm going to fill those gaps with plywood. Then the hood fan is going to come into place and get screwed into that plywood. The stone goes nicely behind it. It's always a challenge thinking about doing the stone after or before the hood fan. This is the right way to do it. So next step is to finish up the cabinetry, fill all these pieces in, do all the little details, get the sinks and faucets in place, and then go on to the finishing details inside the cabinets. I'm going to wrap this episode up here, but stay tuned because now we're going to get into all the finishing decor elements, and you're not going to want to miss that because this place is really going to start coming together.